Open your eyes.
Many New Year people. I don't think any of us knew the meaning behind this deceivingly simple quote from the Breath of the Wild. Even now I don't believe there was any deeper meaning behind it from Nintendo, but I found my own meaning for it. Open your eyes is whispered by Zelda to Link in order to wake him up from his long slumber, so he can set out on a mission to save everything he has ever loved. For me, I placed this quote onto the gaming industry itself. I saw it as a way of Nintendo saying, open your eyes to what's happening around you and return to what was so pure and beautiful about gaming. In a sense, this has always been the Legend of Zelda series. That sense of gaming wonder, adventure, rich and innovative gameplay, memorable characters and experiences, beautifully crafted worlds, and music to elevate all those experiences to combine them into a product that truly becomes legendary. For me also, the gameplay and the world interactions in Breath of the Wild is something I've been craving for years. Something that every other AAA developer who begs for more processing and graphical power were meant to deliver to us, but very rarely did so, or for many reasons that I find hideous in this industry, they would retreat back to safer design choices, seemingly refusing to truly push beyond what they had previously created in all forms of game design. So this year, for many people, our eyes were opened, opened to true, wonderful game design, and also open to the horrors of bad game design, along with bad business practices that do nothing but rob us as consumers of what we had paid for, previously paid for before, but are now told we need to pay even extra for because of reasons. I'm not going to beat around the bush. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is my game of the year by far. Even pushing aside Super Mario Odyssey, a game which in itself, puts to shame a countless number of other games released this year and before it. Breath of the Wild is the greatest video game ever made, in my opinion. I don't even care what other lauded games have been released this year. In my mind, there is no other contender. People will scream, you can't say that until you've played Horizon Zero Dawn, you can't say that until you play Persona 5. These games I will play, trust me. But to be the greatest game ever made, in my opinion, it goes beyond personal preference. It goes beyond sales. It goes beyond a game being a fun and memorable experience. For me, to be the greatest game ever made, you have to have all of the above, apart from the sales part, but you have to achieve true greatness in game design that not only innovates, but gets the entire industry to praise and want to follow suit. I bet your ass you won't get this from Horizon Zero Dawn and Persona 5. But I can bet your ass you'll get it from Breath of the Wild, or to put it more accurately, we can only pray to Crom and hope that the rest of the industry follows what this game has achieved. Because this is what the industry done with the original Zelda, right? The original Mario Bros, Final Fantasy, Metroid, Doom, Tetris, Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, GoldenEye 64, Half-Life, World of Warcraft, Metroid Prime, etc, etc. These games, amongst others, are the template, the canvases that the original and other developers, build up and copy from. And so they should be, because in order to move forwards, we must know our history and strive to learn from it, to continue to innovate from it and continue to move the industry forwards, from it. One of the very first videos I done was on the controls of Super Mario 64 and how we haven't controlled the Mario so perfectly since. Well, that has changed this year, with the release of Super Mario Odyssey. Like in my review of the game, I said we have never controlled a game in a 3D space like this before. In fact, I think I called the video 3D mastered, and what I meant by that is the level of precision control you have over Mario, even in his 3D environment. It's nothing short of sublime, and once again, any game after this within a similar genre or required control method should be using Mario Odyssey's controls as its template. You might wonder what I'm talking about, but this is the same thing. The same thing happened with first-person shooters, for example. GoldenEye 64 showed that first-person shooters can exist on consoles with similar precise controls as the PC. Then it was arguably Halo Combat Evolved that took it to the next level, and ever since that game, those controls have pretty much been the standard for that genre. Although I personally argue that the Wiimote controls in Metroid Prime 3 were better, and I would have loved to see continued evolution of that control scheme. With Mario Odyssey, once again, our eyes were open to the beauty and marriage of the analog stick and 3D games. Something many people have forgotten about, I feel. The same can be said about the combat and general movement in Breath of the Wild. You should never underestimate how beautifully easy and refined the controls are in that game, to the point where firing arrows with both analog and gyro controls on whilst you're on the back of a horse, whilst naming your target exactly where you want to, is sensational. It's just perfection. The horse controls in this game, coupled with the combat, are the best the industry has seen. Don't even argue with me. And not only that, we play so many open world games, but even things like running through and simply hopping over a fence in a town or something, in Zelda's case, or climbing over a house, is made effortlessly easy without the game or the character looking like you're not meant to be doing that, or you're going out of bounds or something. Link's movement through all of Hyrule is effortless, whilst pushing the gamer to think through intoxicating gameplay design. If you can say that about any other game this year, outside of Mario and Zelda, then I'm happy to, listen and, obviously debate with you. In March, the Nintendo Switch released, as we all know. What happened initially. The haters doubted, most of the industry doubted, but roll forward to today, and Nintendo has shown the world why gaming can be so much fun in its hardware delivery, its software, and both of those being married together to produce even more exciting gameplay ideas. The Switch has consumed me this year, and I have a feeling it'll do the same next year and beyond. But seeing as I'm a Nintendo fan, above anything else, Nintendo consoles have always been my main system, at least since the N64. But even a SNES and and the NES, but going back to Sega days then. But anyway, like the N64, the Switch is something special. Not just because its hardware excites me with things that I have, that I never thought of, but because its software is setting new standards that I want everyone to follow. Because of this, I barely touched my PlayStation 4 since March, and even my PC. I have a PS4 backlog because of this, hence the reason why I haven't played Horizon or Persona 5, because, I'm sorry, nothing was getting me out of Hyrule and the Mario universe this year, amongst other things. I haven't bought these PlayStation 4 games yet, but my PS4 to playlist in terms of console exclusives consists of Horizon Zero Dawn, Persona 5, Nier Automata, Neo, Uncharted 4, Gravity Rush 2. There are other multi-platform games I want to play this year as well, like Rise of the Tomb Raider I missed, Resident Evil 7 and The Evil Within 2, but they all got pushed aside. This was not in a hateful way. It just that all these games for me would have always come second to Nintendo's best output, and Nintendo have been on fire this year. There's just no argument. 2017 belonged to the big N. From launching the Nintendo Switch, the crazy success of the SNES Mini, from having two genre-defining games of the year with Zelda and Mario, to other fantastic games like Splatoon 2, ARMS, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 at the end of the year, and the wealth of other third-party and indie titles. The Switch has just been pure joy. But I will not write off the PlayStation 4 this year, at least in terms of software and, the success of the platform. Finally, I can say in 2017 that the PlayStation 4 has finally become the PlayStation 4. Because, before this point, the console for the most part for me had been, quite dull and an uninspiring system, in terms of exclusives. And I always judge a console by its exclusive first and foremost. The years before the PS4 have been, for me, a port machine for the most part. There's always the argument that these ports are fillers or great for people who missed out on them, but I'm sorry, I don't care about that. Only because I was there on those previous platforms. I've owned every PlayStation console. So for the most part, I've already played what's considered as those filler titles. But, there's no denying that the amount of ports on the PlayStation 4 up to now have been ridiculous. I've played some exclusives on the console, of course, Bloodborne still being in the highlight for me, and then, a few other titles like Until Dawn and The Last Guardian. But apart from those, I haven't been much interested in anything else exclusive on the platform, so it's gathered dust for a while. But finally, the PlayStation 4 came alive in 2017 and had some quality looking exclusives on it, many of which, like I said, I will be playing, in 2018.
Open your eyes.
As for Microsoft and the Xbox, they are virtually a dead company to me now. The Xbox One has remained uninspiring, although I'll salute it for its backwards compatibility, something both Sony and Nintendo could learn from. But then we had the release of the Xbox One X, a system I couldn't give two shits about, to be honest. The most powerful console in the world gets outplayed by a game built on the Wii U, which once again says to me that no matter how many gigaflops of processing power you have in your console, without the developers to create great software, all that power means nothing, and the Xbox as a brand has nothing for me anymore. Even if I could think of a game of my dreams from that, from this company, something like Jet Force Gemini 2, the amount of reservation I would have towards that title, knowing that Microsoft were probably the publisher, and knowing that Rare or hell, even someone else were the developer, I know for a fact that the original minds of Jet Force Gemini are long gone, and the impact of that would cast nothing but doubts on my excitement, for such an announcement. Halo, Gears of War, Forza, Crackdown, and anything else Microsoft can conjure up out of their exclusive lineups are, in my mind, rinsed to death, because they had so many sequels on a single platform, and they do nothing for me now but bore me, unfortunately.
Open your eyes.
Then in 2017, we've had the, hideous resurrection of loot boxes, broken games with day one patches to fix them, microtransactions, and the trash DLC that does nothing but hurt this industry and insult us as consumers. I am so against loot boxes and microtransactions in console gaming, it's unreal. I can see the arguments, but I can honestly couldn't care less what excuses people come up with to try and warrant their existence in the AAA premium world of console gaming. You hear the excuses that they need to exist in order to pay for the growing cost of games, but it's been shown that games don't cost nowhere near as much as people make out, even out of the EA's own mouth, that the majority of the costs go into marketing, etc. People might say that they are optional. Well, that's an interesting look at it, depending on the title. Or some people might say that as long as they are implemented in a good way, then what's the problem? My problem has always been this: what was once standard in games, have been stripped out and offered at additional cost, and many gamers today have simply just accepted that. That's okay to say. Some games are a service. You want to know some games that got it right and that were recently released, Splatoon 1 and 2 and ARMS. Both games are indeed serviced games. Their base packages were released and Nintendo promised to update those games throughout the year, with new free additional content. You've already paid the premium price for the game. Now it was time for Nintendo to deliver on additional content, for that premium price, and deliver they did indeed. What did we get from the likes of EA, Activision, and Ubisoft, to name a few? Nothing but broken trash with stripped content and additional charges. It's embarrassing, and the grief they have gotten this year with the likes of Star Wars, Destiny 2, and Assassin's Creed, to name a few, has been absolutely delicious. I guess this was a year where many people listened to what Zelda told us.
Open your eyes.
I'm sorry, but I'll never accept loot boxes and microtransactions in the AAA market, no matter how well they are implemented. If games like Mario Odyssey and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 were done by the likes of EA, Activision, and Ubisoft, I bet your ass that all those costumes, extra moons, and extra levels in Mario Odyssey, and the rare blades and rare items in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 would all be in loot boxes and paid additional content. It was a pleasure to see many gamers, finally wake up a little to the scams that these trash developers were trying to push. Admittedly, also pushed by the shareholders, who, like I said in the previous video, don't give a crap about this industry, only the cash that it brings in. It's up to us as consumers to ensure that the products we buy are quality and not ripping us off. Every little loot box and microtransaction that we purchase fuels the meat wagon. I recently had this with Blizzard. Something changed with the World of Warcraft. Later on as later expansions that affected the game and also the rest of the products associated with Blizzard. Things that you either already paid for with your subscription fee to Warcraft, or had already paid for when you first bought the premium price game from their other franchises, had now become additional charges that dramatically changed the ecosystems and the games, and changed Blizzard as a company in my eyes. A company that quality-wise were exceptional. You need look no further than the World of Warcraft today, StarCraft 2, Diablo 3, and even Overwatch. Things that were once part of your premium product. I'm talking like just costumes and stuff like this, just the usual stuff that developers used to put into their product just out of love. We're now stripped out and added back in as paid additional products, as if you hadn't paid enough already.
Open your eyes.
So this has been the battle this year for me and my views on the industry. The godfather of gaming, the mighty Big N, reminded us of the pure joy of gaming whilst treating our IPs with respect. Sony finally turning the PlayStation 4 into a respectable PlayStation 4 with some great exclusives this year. Microsoft being kicked into the dirt, where they belong, and the pure evil that are loot boxes, broken games, bad DLC, and trash microtransactions in AAA games being given a little bit of a wake-up call that many people are starting to see through their crap practices. Trust me, it hasn't gone away and won't go away, but at least people are waking up a bit more. But this battle is far from over. Like I said, what 2018 will bring us is unknown for most respects, but there is always some light in the darkness, people. Metroid Prime 4 is being made, everybody. That alone is all the hope I need. My eyes were always open, princess. We just need to continue to fight against those whose eyes remain closed. Anyway, that's how I saw 2017. Also, through this year, and with me actually creating content on YouTube, through my first year, I've managed to get over 100 subscribers, and I'd like to thank everyone who has followed me up to now and stuck with me. I really appreciate the support. It's surprising, in all honesty. I created this channel cause I just love talking about video games, and if anyone wanted to listen, there's like a billion YouTube channels out there, but all of you guys have decided to listen to me, and I can't thank you enough for that, and I hope I continue to do you justice through 2018, something I am very much looking forward to. And I'd also like to thank the Juices Loose crew, a bunch of Nintendo YouTubers, which I'm sure many of you who follow me will know. I've managed to play a lot of online games with these guys this year, and it's made a massive difference to me and my love for playing Nintendo games online. Something I've done before with one or two friends, but never, on a continuous basis. So I'd like to thank everyone from the Juices Loose for welcoming me into their loving arms, so to speak. Thanks all. As always, thanks for listening, and let me know your thoughts on what has arguably been one of the best years in gaming, from software and some hardware side. But even then, nothing will beat 1998, people. Happy New Year. Peace.